That is literally the first thing in the fucking podcast.
Oh, great.
Hello,
Hello,
everybody. Welcome
everybody.
to Shine Jules Productions podcast.
Welcome back to the insanity.
SJPP, as it's known.
Can we not call it that?
Um, we have Mica this time. Quentin's out for this one. It's gonna be a fun one.
Allah,
I think.
I am the person in the
Yep. I think
glacian
we're gonna
hoodie.
start today with. First off, we're gonna start with our itinerary. For light mode, real quick though, for light mode, I know you were super hyped to have Quentin in this podcast. He didn't end up making it, not having a great day. So sorry, light mode. Hope you'll stick around for the whole
Not
thing.
having a great day. I'm sorry.
Um, but for our itinerary for today's podcast, what I want to talk about, uh, number one on my list of things that I want us to talk about today is work getting done, and showing off some of the work that we've done so far and everything going on. I won't necessarily throw up the script for the trailer or anything like that, but I want to show some of the character design work we have done. Um,
I am currently concepting one half of a character called
exactly.
Gemini.
So we're gonna have some of that stuff being brought up and shown.
You can put the thing on the screen if I have completed it by the time you're editing, which I
Exactly.
probably will.
So we'll have a lot of this artwork done and up, and you'll see a bunch of the different stuff we've gotten done, concept pieces and the like. Um, Moving to our next thing on the agenda is going to be some one-off, offshoot, comedic style animations that I want us to do for Durfam's animations that involve our characters from School for the Magically Inclined. In particular, the bagel meme that needs to be a thing. uh,
She's been talking nonstop about how she wants to do the
I need
bagel
it.
meme with Ivy.
I need it in my life. It'd be great if I could get if I could get the voice actors needed to get the scene actively voiced, and then redo the audio with the new voices. um, but moving to our third thing on the agenda list, we're going to be talking about our future plans, another call out for people that are into art, into voice acting, or want to start getting into art and voice acting to reach out to us and see if they want to join us on this lovely adventure, fill in voices that we still need filled, things like that, so we can start getting our rough audio in and things like that. What we really need right now are music people, because we need composers, because we need people
Yes.
to compose some of the music for the intro and other things like that, as well as some more musically inclined scenes. A good pun.
If audio editing is a hobby of yours and you would like to take it to the next level, yeah, we can help you with that.
Exactly.
I've recently started some actual heavy duty audio editing, so I can definitely help you get a grasp on the basics of pro audio editing and syncing up audio to visuals and all that stuff.
Exactly.
So yeah, even if you're an aspiring person for this kind of field,
Yeah,
please
and the
contact us.
bigger the crew gets, the sooner we'll be able to get everyone in, to a point where we can start getting paid because we'll get our content out. The more people we have, the more people we have to
And
share the content and get it to a point where people are willing to help us succeed in making it a thing. Um,
and overall, the more people we have, the higher quality uh, end
exactly.
product we can make.
One of the biggest things I plan on doing is a Pride stream. I can't do it on my internet, but I'm hoping that Micah here will be able to host it. Um, Not
Maybe.
necessarily on your Twitch, because I'm going to make a company Twitch, which you'll have access to be able to stream. I'll give you the key. Um,
Sweet.
and that way we can do a Pride stream of us playing a few games and things like that for just Pride Month and celebrating a few things.
Fortunately, Apex is now forever
Yeah.
off the lists.
But we'll be doing a few different things. Probably going to CS:GO, shouting at people about how gay we are, despite neither of us technically being gay. I think it'd be funny, and that's something I want to reach out and see. If we have people in the community that play games like that, League of Legends, Valorant, CS:GO, anything along those lines, that wants to come in and join us for something fun like that. I think it'd be great, where we can all get together and
Yeah.
have fun celebrating Pride Month, if not just in the chat. And I think that'd be a good thing to reach out to, so we can get some more people in for future projects, things like that. Um, During that stream, I plan on doing some scouting if people join the games and we get them in voice comms, seeing if I can find people that suit characters and if they're comfortable voice acting or having their voice out there, it'd be great. But let's get into our actual first order of business with everything going on. Um, First thing we're going to be talking about, like I said, it's going to be about art that we have done so far, things that we have done so far. So right now, currently, we have the writing for the first trailer done, and a small scene, a secondary trailer that I already have the VA for, and I'm going to be taking on the role of Lucifer in that scene, even though we don't have a voice actor for Lucifer yet. I'm going to be taking on the role of that for now. For that small scene. That's the only thing I'm going to really reveal of that, is that it's going to have Lucifer inside of it. So that's going to be a fun one to record. Just so you guys know, those two trailers I'm really looking forward to getting recorded, and then after that it's just boarding and animating, so I'm going to be working on that really heavily coming soon. But the big boards that I need to be getting done prior to those two is coming into our introduction animation, essentially our logo animation, and our animation for this video, because as you can tell, this podcast is not animated either yet, even though we talked about in the last one having it animated, when I was speaking with Quentin in the last episode. A lot of things have been going on, been very busy at my work, so I haven't had time to do a lot of boarding. Coming soon, switching to part-time, we're going to be able to get all those boards done so we can move on to animating this and having a good one. So, uh,
We're still kind of in the clearing skeletons out of the closet phase of this whole
exactly.
project. There's a lot of clutter that we need to work through before we can get anything
Exactly.
official out.
Once a lot of the like Micah says here is the clutter. Once a lot of the boulders essentially are out of the way, our big hurdles. Everything else will be smooth sailing as far as the small hurdles that we'll need to hop over to get a finished product out to you guys for an official release of the first episode, or as we know, episode 0, the active, full episode. Which won't include a lot of the trailers, because some of the trailers we're going to be dropping are from sparse bits in different seasons. So some of those you'll watch them now when they come out, and you'll be like, "Wait, when?"
And then you will never see it until years
Until a few
from now.
years, probably, depending on how big our team gets and how efficiently we can get everything made. Uh, One of the things that I've been excited about recently, as far as like animation goes, and I was talking to Mike about this earlier, is the whole thing with Haluva Boss getting new episodes soon. Um, and there's a lot of people that were complaining
Yeah.
about Vivzy not getting any episodes out by now. Uh, Looking into it, it's a lot of production. I mean, as much as I also wanted episodes, I couldn't complain. She has a small group of people, despite it not being a small group of people in comparison to us. It's in comparison to our group, theirs is massive. And they have some really, I wouldn't say necessarily famous, but bigger voices.
Oh no, they have some
They do. They have
pretty
very big
big
voices,
voices.
very big talents. In particular, Invader Zim and Billy are the same person, but they have the voice of Invader Zim and Billy,
Yes.
Billy and Mandy, um, which is amazing to think about and look back on.
Such a small product getting the
It,
attention and support of someone
and it's not
so
even like a
influential
small
in the
project
field.
anymore, because you have Vivzy being able to pull people from all these different things. But I guess that's what you get when you graduate from a massive art college, and then you go and consult actual studio
Yeah.
sets, and then you run into these people, and you're like, "Hey, how about you come work for me?"
You want to come to a project?
So you have these big things going on. And a lot of it is production value. It takes time to get these things done. Especially I'm going to talk about a bit about what the Hoonicast, the Hoonie crew has going on for them. They have this big situation where now they're finally getting their boards done. They have a lot of raw audio done for these episodes. A lot of things like that. And so I look at how fast they're progressing. In reality, they got these out in 2019, and they started writing the rest of Haluva Boss in December, January, right?
Hmm.
And now they're finally about to release more. And that's only a 6 month, 7 month span of time that it's taken them to write and most of the way produce, um, I think, 3 episodes. And that's extraordinarily quick because for their team the size it is now, that's a very, very fast production time. Especially since they're not planning on
Yeah,
releasing like a whole season at once. You know what I mean? They're not planning on like recording, boarding, recording, and
yeah. They
doing
don't do it. They don't do
a
it the
whole
way Rooster
season. You
Teeth
know what I
does
mean?
it.
And just like they finish the whole season, then they go da 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 every like week. Um, they plan on getting these
Yeah,
episodes, releasing them here, and here, and also still working in this meantime, but posting them to be filler in the meantime. But that's one of the things I love about Hoonicast is that they put these podcasts out there in the meantime, and they do these live to give the audience something to watch while they're waiting on big events and also keeping people up to date with what's going on. Which is what I hope for this podcast to be in the future, is to be that filler between episodes or between things like that where we record, a big podcast. Hopefully, eventually, when I have better internet, being able to stream these podcast recordings to everyone so they can see everything going on, um, with all the different characters and everything, and where we're at, and being able to show clips of things
yeah,
currently being made, source material.
yeah,
But moving a bit more out of that, we're going to go to our second subject at hand. Let's talk more about these like one-off offshoot animations that we plan on having.
yeah. So some of you know we have a kind of throwaway-ish channel called Derpum's Animations. It's just kind of our playground. It's where we're gonna
I mean, that's
mess
where
around
this
with
goes. They're
ideas,
they're
see
watching
what
it on that
sticks,
channel
see
right
what we
now.
like. Okay, you know what?
They're on Derpums as we speak. It's not even a throwaway. It's a very real channel. Um,
No, it's a throwaway in the sense that nothing too official is
yeah,
going to be on here.
yeah, very true, very true.
Like, yeah, we'll release like concept art and little sketches revolving around the characters, but the sketches will never be canon unless we specifically say this happens between this episode and will
Mm-hmm.
stay.
And but on this channel, we're planning on releasing some smaller animations, things that aren't necessarily canonized. As Mica was saying, things that are canon, things that aren't. It just depends. But every episode, every music production that we do with the studio will all go onto Shangels Productions. That channel is where you'll see all of our official work, the big stuff that's going to be posted. All the trailers will go there, things like that will go there. Um, Black and white boards with the audio attached before we do the full animation and syncing will go on to Derpums, but the full finished product will go on to Shining Jewels. Um, when it comes to what we have here on Derpums, though, we're going to have stuff like this podcast and other things to fill the void. If you're wondering why we separated them into two different channels, it's because we didn't want to flood uh, Shangels Productions with these small things. Because we want it to be very easy to navigate that YouTube channel. Very easy for you to go and say, hey, I want this, and I want to make this a thing, and do this thing. You know what I mean? Because if you're like, hey, I want to watch all the music. I want to watch the music videos and listen to the music for
Yeah,
School for the Magically Inclined. You know, whether it's the instrumentals or it's the audio music that we're gonna have for a few scenes in the show. Then you go and you watch that. You know, and
yeah,
if it's away from that, let's say you want to watch actual full episodes of School for the Magically Inclined. Let's say you just go to the next playlist and it's right there on Shining Jules Productions. But if you want to catch the podcast, you just type in Derpin's Animations or go to the affiliated channels on Shining Jules Productions channel, and you hop over here and you have all the podcasts. You have all the small bits, different things like that. But over there, you'll get the official works like the trailers and the fully animated trailers with color, background, everything, and all of that already set up and ready. So that's the primary separation. But coming into what we're doing here and what we want to do, we're definitely doing a bagel meme with Ivy and probably Sam, and of course the Devourer entity that ends up inside Ivy. That's something that's not necessarily a spoiler. You'll see it. You'll get it. Um, it's the
like that
very
is the one of the very first things
exactly.
that you
It's
see
one of the very
in the show.
first parts of the show. It's actually I don't want to give away too much information, but it's the cutoff right before um, what do you call it? The theme and the beginning part. So yeah,
It's the cold
it's gonna be a
open.
cold open. But you know that's gonna be our trademark at this studio, at least for this show. Because I
Yeah.
feel like cold opens are excruciatingly painful ways to have fun with the show and keep people's interest in what's coming to the screen. Because you're like, wait, this was super suspenseful, and now I'm supposed to feel okay about it. uh, until you get there again, and then you rewatch it, and now you're seeing it for what really is going on. But coming into some other one-off things and some kind of memes that I have planned. I want to do some small like characters answer your questions things. Small animations. If we have people that want to ask questions, they can either put them in the replies to the Twitter post for this podcast or in the comments for this video, and I'll try my best if we do have voice actors for different characters at the time or voice actors for different characters at the time. I'll try my best to have things at least semi boarded or drawn out, and have replies and have them voiced for you guys, so we can get out some small videos in the meantime, because that's not too much work, especially if it's not animated. But if we do end up animating it, it will take a bit longer. It just depends on what time we have available to us in the current moment. Um, I'm thinking possibly on Derpums. We may. This is a side series, not something that's going to be necessarily relative to work that we're going to be doing for Shining Jewels, but possibly show reviews, writing reviews, animation reviews for different animated shows, where we're going to pick a show, watch it together as a crew, and talk about it in kind of a podcast esque style about what was really good about it, what our thoughts were, you know what I mean, things that could have been improved in animation, music, whatever it is that we think could have been improved. Um,
Certain things that we would have done differently to put our own
exactly.
twist on it.
Just differences that we would have made uh, to the things, and it's nowhere in bad blood because a lot of the shows that I currently have in mind are things
No,
that I currently will say that I adore and love, but have also some infamous problems with the writing. One of the shows I do want to bring up and have us all do a watch party for and touch on is Star vs. the Forces of Evil. And outside of
yes,
that, I want the next thing to do is probably Beastars, just to talk about some of the massive great things about the story, because I have so much respect for that animation, for that show, and we're gonna get a second season somewhere by the end of this year, beginning of next year, hopefully. So I'm super happy for that. Um, and I don't think you've ever seen Beastars, have you, Micah? That'll be a
No,
fun
I
one for
haven't.
you. You'll probably either end up adoring it or go, "What is this furry shit?" Because those are the only two reactions that I've seen people have. Uh, my significant other, on the other hand, loves the show, loves the writing, says it would still be better if it were people. Um,
Yeah,
and for me, I don't think the story could have been told nearly as well in the view of humans. I also don't think it would have been done very as well in 2D animation, and I think that Studio Orange did an amazing job in the 3D work. This is a long rabbit hole we're trailing down, and I could talk about this for hours. so,
yeah. Let's move
so
on to the
we'll
next
move on
topic.
from that. But those are some things to come. That's a little tidbit of how it'll look like after we watch the show together, and possibly have a big like hullabaloo of what's going on. Um, Next thing I want to talk about really quick is some of the ideas for music in the show that I would love to see if people can help with. If anyone watching has seen Camp Camp, I don't know if anyone has. I have. I don't know if you have, Micah. Okay.
I
If
have.
you all know the theme to that show, which you should, I want something relatively close to the upbeat pace of that intro theme to be for the show, for School for Magical Incline. Not quite as fast, but something equally as upbeat and happy, um, despite horrific things happening in the background. Something that is very the actual animation going on with the song is gonna be very much attuned with how the song feels, but with the show having consistent cold openings in its writing, and then moving into um, that theme, I want that stark contrast between how the show portrays itself in the theme versus how it actually feels to watch it. Because it's something that I think is very much like real life when you're a kid. You know what I mean? Because our show isn't meant for kids; it's
Mm-hmm.
meant for teenagers and adults, and that's our target audience for this show. Uh, and it's because I think that everyone, when you're going from that phase of being like 14 to 18, right, you start to realize that life sucks. uh,
One of the main themes of some parts of the show is that growing up is hard and you don't really ever truly get the
exactly.
hang
But
of it.
you change as you grow older. You change from experiences in your life, which every character will have some significant change in their dynamic.
Well,
Every major
every
character, of course.
major
Yeah, yeah.
character.
People I think understand that I'm not talking about literally every minute character in the show.
Well, yeah, but like even background characters aren't gonna like get
But I don't want to give background characters the complete shaft. You know what I
made.
mean? But then again, in the same
No,
consideration,
like they're
in the writing of this show, some characters that are background characters in one season may take the focus in another. So characters will always end up
yes.
getting something later on, whether it's a one episode view of this one character you saw one time, just to give you like if people ask about it, who's this character and what's their story. They were just back there in the cafeteria, but they seem to be the only character colored in. You know what I mean? Because characters that I don't want you to know
Yeah,
about or don't want you to think about aren't gonna be special. They're gonna be filler. It's gonna be spot the protagonists. You know what I mean? Uh,
we will be taking some pages out of the books of shows like Ruby, Soul Eater, other anime that just has a lot of characters in the
yeah,
background at certain points. They will be less detailed and more like kind of mix and match of like hair, facial
exactly.
parts, clothes,
They'll
that
they'll
kind
be
of
fill
thing,
in
and
characters, but
colors.
those that are specific, you'll know them from the rest. Um, and the reasoning I'm doing this is because in the writing, I want you to see these characters and ask yourself, who are they? And reach out to us and be like, who is this person? We'll be like, that's for you to find out later on. Because we're cucks.
Perhaps.
uh,
because we're all
But no, it's
assholes.
something that I want you guys to see these characters and wonder who they are, what their story is, only to later on eventually find out and either be surprised by it or be like, I had that spot on. You know what I mean? Just off their actions in the background.
It's kind of a Gravity Falls situation with that.
Uh, Coming into like music again, though, um, that theme is very much something that I want worked on, but I need people for it. I need composers, and that's where we're lacking in everything. Is we're lacking music composers. So if anyone is like into composing music and thinks that they could do a fine job, that'd be great. Lyrics would be also very fundamentally helpful, but I think the composition of the instruments would be very much the first thing needed. Uh,
Yeah.
Going past that part though and moving into other music that I have planned for the show, we have a big musical that or a musical scene that's going to be happening in season two. I have my sister actually writing that song, and she's about halfway through it. I'm very happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, not
That's
going to
cool.
display the lyrics because that is a big spoiler for some major plot points in season two. Uh,
Yes.
Very well done though, and I'm very proud of her, and I love her and adore her. Um,
I would say a certain thing about the song pertaining to voices, but that would also
yeah, a
almost
little
be a
bit.
spoiler.
It's going to be a particularly somber song with a happy ending. Um, that's all I'm going to
Yeah.
talk about how that song is. If you guys watch this podcast in like 2 years from now, that season is somehow coming out that soon, and you see it and you go, "Wait a minute, I remember hearing about this." uh, well,
Hello.
hi. Now you know. Granted, those that keep up with this channel excessively are probably going to see when we have that animation done and the music done before the actual episode releases. We'll probably drop it over here as a spoiler, um, but mark it like spoiler. Do not watch if you don't want to spoil yourself. You know what I mean? On a major
Mm-hmm.
scene, even though this is just the musical part of that scene. Strangers Productions as a whole, I don't think we're going to produce musicals or like musical type shows. I just think that some characters in School for the Magical Incline in particular wouldn't mind singing, and in particular the character in season two that is part of the duo in that song. Um, Both of them, I imagine, would be not necessarily musically inclined, but wouldn't be against singing their feelings. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
for this scene, it's very nice. But the show itself is not a musical, so when you see these two singing, they actively are singing in the show. So other people are probably looking at them like they're weird. And it's actually going to be in reference in the board that I have planned out in my mind for the scene where one of the characters is like, "Wait, are you gonna? Oh God, I'm leaving," and walks out of the room before Stevie
All right,
starts to sing.
please stop. No. All right. See you later.
Uh, so it's a tough one, but outside of music and all that, here's my call out to everyone. You know, we've already done this several times in this, but if you guys are interested in voice acting, in animating, in boarding, in coloring for the show, any of these things, go ahead and hit me up. Right now, the biggest struggle for the show is funding, but it's not like I don't pay the people that are working for me. I do. It's just light. It's not like this is going to support you
Mm-hmm.
entirely, but it will help you, you know?
Until we actually get a following, this is purely a
Exactly.
passion project. We're not in it for money. We're not in it for fame. We're doing it
Yeah.
because we want to.
And I'm still trying to pay people. And
Yeah.
at least give them enough money for a week's worth of food, you know, for their work. Uh, it won't pay your bills unless your bills are extraordinarily cheap, but it will pay for your food. For like 5 to 7 days, depending on how good you are at budgeting your money. Buy a lot of beans. You'll always be fed. $10, 100 days of food, perfect. Nothing but beans and gas all the way. Um, other, yeah,
One more thing I will say about joining the team is that, like, don't be afraid of us being like a cold corporate
no, we all hang
entity.
out.
Like, oh, you've done your thing. You will give you money. All right, you're done for now. Go do whatever. Like, no, we're friends. We're all friends here, and
Exactly.
we talk a lot. So
We talk.
it's kind of like having a small
Yeah,
second
exactly.
family.
But coming into when we do have a bigger group and manage to have more people in, um, and especially inside the Discord that we use for our work and everything like that, I plan on having all of us hopping in and um, being able to have bigger meetings and talking about what's going on. We have a writers room where me and if anyone else hops onto the writing team, we can get together and um, talk about things that are going to be happening. You can help with the development of the show, making sure things flow smoothly, make sense. A lot of that is very important to making sure that everything goes well. So it's all a matter of that. And if you have an interest in writing and you don't necessarily want to write School for the Magically Inclined, but you have an intrigue in writing and you have an interest in possibly developing a show or writing skits or doing anything like that that we could possibly do with other characters, go ahead and again, email us. Our business email is there. Let me know.
It's not just about us.
Uh, we will invite you on, see what you have to do, like what you have in mind, and see if we can fit you in somewhere to help us out, or possibly add you to the crew so we can help you out in developing what you want to develop and get it out there on Shine Jules Productions, and you have the credit for the writing and for whatever you have done for the show. You know what I mean? But it's not just that you're getting accredited or it's getting shared here. If it's your work that you're developing, uh, we'll give you the resources necessary to do so if we have them. Um,
We're not just a
yeah,
company
it's
about
not
us.
about money. It's always been about the
This
creative
is
dream and getting people where they want to be. If you were
this is all about just introducing people to the craft and getting ideas out there,
exactly,
really making sure that everyone gets
exactly,
treated fairly.
and hopefully getting people to the point where they can move on to their own. How would I put this? Get moved into their own career in art and have a solid foundation so they can say I worked in this project and can get into the industry off of that backing. Because if we manage to make this studio good enough and making enough projects and making things that are very worthwhile watching, people can say I worked on this project in the writing, I worked on this project in the music, I worked on this project in animation or in boarding, and people will come by and they'll look at the shows, they'll look at the projects that we've done for the studio. They'll hit us up at the studio and be like, "Hey, did this person work for you doing this, this, and this?" And we'll be like, "Yeah, they did. They were great. They were super high energy. They did a lot of good work." You know what I mean? Or whatever the description of you may be, because that's not necessarily what we're looking for. We're not looking for someone high energy that does good work. We're looking for someone that does work. Preferably good work, but work. uh, to get on the team and give them a proper reference and give them the things that they can see that you've done and get you the ability to get into the journey of working wherever if you voice acted for us or whatever it is, so you can get into these bigger projects. Hoping to have artist talk coming soon to this as well, something that I should touch on. Artist talk is
Mm-hmm.
hopefully coming soon. I need to reach out to a few other people about possibly getting artist talk to be a thing that we can do. uh, Still trying to contact someone to get in for artist talk. But as soon as we get someone in for artist talk and we have that ready, I'm going to get everything ready for it, designed, background templates, character templates. We're gonna, of course, have Jules as the mascot for that. It's completely necessary. Because I want to see, and have this experience where we record a secondary podcast for this channel about artists and their journeys and how they got to where they are. And when I say artists, I don't mean just drawing artists. I mean voice actors and actresses and uh, even just normal acting and in general, just anything having to do with art, music included. See how they got to the point where they're at. You know what I mean? I've always wanted to ask Aaron Hansen, about different jobs he's done in the voice acting industry and, what got him in particular into animating and doing the things he's done in his past. Ultimately leading into Game Grumps, having those stories be
Mm-hmm.
told in a consecutive order in a show, I think would be really nice.
And the same would go for Dan of the same
Exactly.
pair. Like what led him to
Dan
create
of a Dan.
NSP, how he even got into music and singing in the
Mm-hmm.
first place.
And seeing where that, leads everything. Because, we've all heard the stories, in Game Grumps where Dan was like when he was young, Judge asks him what he wants to be, and it's the one without a tie has to be the one that's like, I want to be a musician. Um, but like, there's always something that aspires you to become something like that and become more than you are now, and leads you into becoming that. There's always a story to tell about
Mm-hmm.
how you ended up in those positions, which I think is why we have so many movies out nowadays of people who have already died that were famous musicians or actors or big people in the world that have a kind of autobiography film about who they were and how they became who they are, or were, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that way we can kind of have a chronicle in our banks here in uh, Durapum's animations in particular of different artists that we've talked to and have this very collective understanding of different artists, where they are, different things like that, and having people that we can be like, hey, we're working on a new project, and remember that time you did artist talk with us. Can you possibly come in for another thing with voice acting this character, or maybe writing a song for this scene? And I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like I said, none of that ever goes unpaid. I'd gladly pay anyone who does any work for the show. So that's all coming along, coming together.
Yep. We're making steps. Small steps, but
Exactly.
steps.
I feel like this is going to be the shortest podcast we've possibly ever recorded.
I mean,
I
we
mean,
could
we
change
could.
that.
It just depends on what we have to talk about in the current climate, because we were talking mainly about in this one an update on where we are in our art. Um, if we want to go into global animation news, though, a bit more about different things coming out and going on. Um, I know that we're soon to get another season of Doctor Stone coming at the end of this year. Very excited about that
Mm-hmm.
one. Doctor Stone is a very good show. In particular, I read the manga up until its most recent chapter, and hoo boy, very good. Uh, Not gonna spoil anything over there for anyone listening or watching as to what
Yeah.
happens. Anywhere past where the anime currently is, because there's a lot of people that are waiting on the anime and not reading the manga because they want to spoil themselves when they watch it. But very, very good. Uh, Solid place. I can't wait for more. Same with Beastars, actually. I've also read the manga for that, and it's also extraordinarily well made and well written. There are some scenes where, when it's translated to English, either in the comic or also even in Japanese, it's just like, huh? Like in the anime
Huh?
and in the comic, both there's some parts where it's just like, wait, what?
That what?
But that's more due to syllable counts in the anime, and in English, just a
Mm-hmm.
convoluted translation because English and Japanese have nothing in common.
Well, they have a couple things in common, but
Just
not a
complexity
whole
in the
lot.
written language.
Well, not only that, but they're both Hold on. Okay, but they both use a lot of the same kind of
Except for
sounds.
L's and R's. Those don't exist in Japanese.
Uh, well, there's a couple
It's
of
Rudy.
things that are different
Yeah.
in Japanese, um, but for the most part, the same kind of sounds that you would
Yeah.
encounter in English, you will encounter some of the same sounds
Well, like
in
to
Japanese.
touch on that though, like especially in Beastars, is like when you're reading the subtitles for the Japanese, one of the characters he's a deer. His name is Louis, right? In English, uh,
Mhm.
but in Japanese you'd pronounce his name Ruri. Uh, that's how
Well,
you pronounce it.
you
It's
wouldn't pronounce it that
it's Ruri. That's how they say it
lethargically.
in the show. It's Ruri.
It's rude.
But the thing that's funny to me about how it goes is in the English subtitles of the Japanese version, uh, they call him Ruri, like an R. They don't put an L, even though his name is Louis. Uh, so it's kind of funny to look at that and be like, huh? Why is there an
Ah,
R there in the
ah,
subtitles? And then when you watch in English, they call him Louis. So it's kind of funny to look at the difference
yeah,
in like the translation to the subtitles in comparison to how they say it in the actual English version. So I feel like when they subtitled the
yeah,
English, they just wrote what they heard for the name, which was Ruri. It sounds like an R in English, but it's actually
yeah,
an L. It's just that L and R are the same letter in Japanese. So, and
yeah.
I think the show is exceptionally great in in terms of its writing and development. Uh, it's one that I really, really want you to watch because I feel like you'd love it if you actually sat down and watched it.
Mm.
Um, Extraordinarily adult, though, for any young viewers who have managed to make their way into the podcast. Extraordinarily adult. Don't go watch it. Go watch it. Uh, it's on Netflix.
Don't go watch it. Go
Exactly. Like,
watch it.
get on your parents' Netflix account and watch it like now. You're 12, you'll get it. uh, you're already curious enough to know what most of that stuff is. You'll be fine.
Well, if you
Exactly.
have internet, you'll
They
know.
have to have internet if they're watching the podcast though.
Shut up.
uh,
Let me have my joke.
but it is also just in general a very very good show. Very good writing. Very good pacing. The characters are exceptional, and I envy how good the writers. Not even the writers, the writer did, because she is both the writer and the artist of the manga. Uh, Solely, she's impressive for getting chapters out as fast as she does. If I could do that much work and not kill myself, I would.
And still afford a place to
Well, I mean, she
sleep,
makes
live, and
tons of
eat.
money off the manga itself. I'm sad that they haven't done an English translation version of it, like on print. Otherwise, I'd own it, like all of it. Because in order to read it in English, you do have to read it online a from two different websites host it, and they're translated by, I believe, I can get that information right now. Let me get that for all of you.
Welcome to the waiting period of the
The
podcast.
waving period.
Did, did, did you
Yep.
say waving? I said
Now waving.
waiting. This is what I have to deal with.
Oh, hot chocolate scans.
This is my boss, everybody.
That's who does the translations for the English version. They do a lot of English translations of manga that don't have active like print versions that you can buy. Doctor Stone is another one actually that is only in Japanese, if I'm correct. So you have to buy the Japanese version. You'd have to be able to read Japanese to read it, unless you get it online. So I'm very 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 happy with how everything's turning out for the writing of both those manga and for the animations as well. The shows are very good. On the subject of American shows, a while back though, Steven Universe ended. Very, very nice ending.
Mm-hmm.
Actively made me tear up. That final episode was actively painful. Most people should have seen it if they're fans of the show already, but I still won't spoil it. But very, very touching. The very, very end of that show is. Anything going on for you as far as, animation, art, anything like that is going on in your life, though?
Well, I've definitely progressed in my art recently, as you may have
In
seen.
the,
If you follow me on social media or on Twitch, I am starting to redo my emotes on Twitch. I've actually finally gotten my first commission to draw emotes for a channel. My incredibly good friend Brad has requested 3 emotes that I've already drawn and sent to him. And I am just waiting for him to get the payment out and everything will be good.
Yep. We on the going back to a previous subject. Subject of Pride Month and doing a whole Pride stream coming a little bit later this month. Possibly if we can organize it. Getting all that ready, we're going to be showing right now on the screen some artwork done by our good friend Quentin, or Noctis Valix, as some people know him. And some of the Pride artwork that he's done. These are commission pieces, and you guys can commission them if you go over to his Twitter and hit him up on there for the commission. They're $10. They're very nice pieces. I had a lot of fun. I'll show mine here. I'll show his, and I'll show a few others that I've managed to sneak over and take from Twitter. Keep in mind, I did get permission from Quentin to post these in the video to show them off, and hopefully put some attention toward him so he can get a bigger following over there and get some more commission work, because we all want Quentin to have more money. Because
he's almost at 500, guys. Let's make it happen.
Followers. Give him the follows. Bombard him with follows. But no, biggest things with that though is support Quentin. Great art. Love it.
Yes.
He is one of our animators. Further back in the podcast, when we went over the scenes of or went over like work that we've been doing so far, I mentioned that we put up some of the artwork that we've been doing, some of the work progression that we have done. There was a turnaround for Sam. I showed the base artwork for Sam. The turnaround for Sam is being done over there, and Quentin's working on it, so we're going to have the turnaround for Sam as well coming in a little while whenever he gets the time to finish it, but that's being done by him. You would have seen it. If you're watching the podcast and not just listening, other YouTube Red people here that don't bother to watch anything and just listen to it while it's in the background. Me. Literally all YouTube videos, just never know what they're talking about because I don't pay attention.
Everything's just background noise. It's fine.
It's like Mica with the D&D sessions. In one ear, out the other. But at least it provides filler. Sorry, we have the 3 main members of this crew all in a D&D D&D game together. So it's quite fun.
A lot of inside jokes.
One of them rides a horse. Wait, that's not what I meant.
Actually, it is.
And I don't even have a character because I'm the DM. So I'm all of them. I'm everyone that isn't a player character.
Yeah. I am everyone.
My name on the Discord server we have for that D&D campaign, just to do a small sidetrack, is literally all of the fucking NPCs. Uh, just because after a good session, I don't have a voice that functions.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, I think we are good for this podcast. I don't think we have anything else that we can necessarily talk about. Anything major. Hoping to come back next month or the month after with some actually big stuff. Hopefully another small podcast, but some bigger news, some stuff getting finished, showing off some background pieces, set pieces, some boards.
We could show my current profile picture that I drew
We
2 weeks
can do
ago.
that. What I need to figure out how to do is record the Discord overlay. Like when you're in a game, like the little balls. I want to figure out how
Oh yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
get that going so people can see who's talking and when we're recording. Because that would be nice. But since that's not happening right now, that's I think we are good though.
Yep.
Anyway, we hope you guys have a great day outside of the obvious great time you've been having with us here. Uh, Drink some coffee, drink some water, stay hydrated, or I'll kill you. Well, technically, you'll kill yourself. Uh, and we'll see you in the next episode of this, or the next time we post a trailer or anything else big coming to this channel. Like I said, we have a few other shows planned out, hopefully coming soon, so we can get some different media style things covered over here and get some new stuff going. This being a shorter podcast helps out with production time and when everything comes out. So this will be a good one.
Yep.
We say goodbye.
Fucking see you later. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Have a good one, you guys. Peace.